To glue the base of your drawer up, it's not a very hard task, but the very first thing you need to do is go through and find 3 pieces of timber that look similar. Now they don't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be as clean a match as the top because ultimately it's a drawer base, but you still want the same coloring to come through ideally. So go through and be intentional about that and see what you can find. Then you need to go through and make sure that they're all going to join up in a way that you're happy with. Now if they don't, you can try jointing them with the trying plane, which is the big number 7 plane we've got. However, because of the thickness of the boards, it becomes very difficult. And so otherwise just bring them to me and I'll just trim them, I should say. Just trim that edge on the table saw and we'll see if we can get you a bit of a better join. After you've got a join you're happy with, the very next step you're going to come through and do is we're going to get some tape. And we're going to run a length of tape down along this back edge. Now you need to make sure that your pieces are just pushed together. You're going to run that length coming along that back edge and you just push that down. Now, we do one side at a time here, one bit at a time, that's fine. I'm going to show you for one side and you can follow for the other, this little piece over here. From here, what we're going to come through and do is you can come through and you can just divide this up like so. Now, once you've got that divided and bent upwards, what's going to be important to do is it's going to be important to come through and we need to add just a little bit of glue. And we're using Titebond Original. And to apply this, I've just got some extra paper towel over to the side here. I'm going to put a little dab of glue there. And today we're not going to glue the whole edge. We're going to glue a bit at the end, a little bit of glue just there. And we're going to do that on both sides. What you do to one end, you must do the other. And then we're going to glue the majority of the center. So we're just going to run a glue line along there, trying to not get any to spill out, but if it does, that's fine. If you need a little bit extra, you can of course always pour yourself a little bit extra. Better to start with less and waste less than to start with more and regret. Then we can come through and we're just applying that along the majority of that stretch. Now the reason we're not doing it the whole way is because, and it's a good one, is because we're going to use some cyanoacrylate glue, which is CA glue, which is effectively what we call in Australia super glue. Now, what we're going to come through and do here is we're just going to add a very small dab of glue of this, and I mean very small dab to that little section that we didn't add any glue to. And this is going to negate the need for us to clamp it. After we've done that, all we're going to do is we're going to flatten this out. I'm going to push these together, really try and align them and push them together. Let's get to a point where you're happy. From here, now if you hold that for about 20 seconds, keeping that tension on, your board should effectively be strong enough to be picked up and worked with. Now it just means it takes one less concern away about pieces moving. After you've done that, as you can see, my board is glued, effectively glued. You're gonna get your wet paper towel here and you're gonna remove any of that excess because we don't want that on there. Okay, like come through and remove it. Then you use that dry paper towel to wipe away all that water so it doesn't soak into the grain too much. Cleaning that up. From there, you're gonna come through and you're gonna repeat that for this far side over here. Once again, going through and doing this. Now the tape does 2 things. Number 1, it holds it in line. Number 2, it mostly stops any squeeze out from coming through. As you can see, well you probably can't see, there's a very small amount that's come through and we'll deal with that later. That's very important when you're doing this to ensure that your boards are coming down flat so that they're staying even, so that when we finish with them we don't have to sand too much off the top because they're already pretty thin and they're the right depth or right size for what we need. Anyway, finish gluing this board up. Remember, you're gonna have to spin this back across to see which way you align it. So I've got the marks here to show alignment. Then flip it, add the tape, flip it over and repeat. I'll see you guys in the next video.